Hey folks, so I've tried to record a video now 2 or 3 times about the importance of taking a Sabbath. And each time I've done it, I've realized how shallow my words were. I realized that I was describing to you what is commonly referred to as a champagne problem. You see, Holy Week in the church, for a minister in charge of a parish or a church, Holy Week is a very, very, very long week. It's the longest week of the Christian calendar for us, and by the time Easter rolls around, many of us are just wiped flat out. Not only do we have the regular work of the parish to do, we also have evening services throughout the week. We have our service on Passion Sunday, then Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. We have extra services. Good Friday, of course, we have a Good Friday service. And then, of course, some churches have Saturday services. Some will have a Sunday midnight Easter Vigil service. And then everybody has a Sunday morning service. It's a long week. Now add on top of that this YouTube channel. It was a very long week for me. Now, I'm not saying that, because I regret it in any way, shape, or form. No, I'm loving what we're doing here together. I'm loving this channel. I'm loving the work I'm loving the conversations that we're having in the work we're doing. But as I got around to describing the importance of a Sabbath and taking the Sabbath and taking a day off, knowing full well that I am just not good at taking a Sabbath, I also began reflecting on what YouTube has shown me. Since I've become this, famous YouTuber, I've discovered that when you don't produce videos, you don't make very much in the course of a day, at least where I am. I'm certain, if you've got 500,000 followers or 5 million followers or 40 million followers, I suspect that it generates its revenue all by itself. But where I am, if I don't produce 2 or 3 videos a day, if I don't produce videos that are relevant, to what people are seeing in the news and the stories that they're hearing, then our revenues are going to be down. And that's going to impact the ministries that we're able to do, and that's going to impact the people that we're able to help. And then I realized that in my country, here in Canada, US included, there are millions and millions of people who can't take a day off. They're working 2 and 3 jobs. Some of them are going to school while they're doing it. Some of them are raising families while they're doing it. They're living in cities where rent can go up by $1,000 because the landlord decides it needs to go up by $1,000 because of other taxation issues or maintenance issues that might arise. They're living in places where inflation is driving the price of everyday common goods, needed goods, through the roof. And I wasn't entirely certain where I was supposed to go with that. So I stopped and I did a little reading. I gave some consideration to some things. And one of the notions that popped into my brain is how vehemently so many of our churches are all about making sure that people do not sin. They're all about pointing their finger at people who sin, who live lives of sin, who live lives that they disagree with. Now, you wouldn't take you long to figure out what some of those churches are often complaining about. So I began thinking, well, how come none of our fundamentalist churches are raging against the fact that so many of their neighbors, so many of the people who provide for them in their community, how come they're not raging over the fact that those people, in order to survive, in order to make it through the month, to pay their bills, to pay their rent, to feed their families, to meet their obligations, how come those churches aren't screaming from the rafters that those people have to work as much as they do? How come they're not screaming from the rafters that those people have to work on their Sabbath, on the day that they're not supposed to do anything? We've got our nose in their bedrooms. We let them know what they should and should not be doing in their bedrooms. We've got their nose in their traumas. We let them know how they should and shouldn't be responding to major life upheavals. We let them know what we think when they're committing crimes in our societies. We have no trouble telling them that they're good or bad. And yet when it comes to the Sabbath, the church is ridiculously silent. And it's a commandment. I can't remember which one, but it is a commandment. It's there. Thou take a Sabbath, take a day off, take a day of rest. Don't do anything. Don't work around the house. Don't work around the barn. Don't work around the farm. Don't work out in the woods. Take a day off. That's what it says. Happy to point out that you're doing something wrong in the bedroom, but we're not willing to make a fuss when our economy requires people to work on their Sabbath. This would be a good issue for the church to be involved in. This would be a really good issue for the church to be involved in. The church's voice could argue for something like a higher minimum wage. I'm a little concerned, though, that we're saying in the U.S. that it's continuously $15 an hour when that $15 mark was actually first proposed like 2 or 3 years ago. Shouldn't we be thinking a little higher than $15 an hour? But that's for another day. What about the church arguing for our universal basic income so that people could actually take a day off, where they know they don't have to worry that if they take Saturday or Sunday, or if they take a Monday or a Tuesday even, if they take one of those days off, that they're not going to be able to make their rent that month? What would it be like if we gave them the ability to stay home and to rest and to recharge, to regroup, to build themselves up, to go back out there into the world? This is what God asked us to do. And there's lots of scientific research out there that tells us the benefits of taking a day off, or heaven forbid, 2 days off in a row. Taking 2 days off in a row has huge, wild, exponentially important benefits for workers. I was thinking in my brain, well, there's nothing I can do as a minister. There's nothing that I can do to help people take a day off. But there is. There is. I can become an advocate for a universal basic income. I can become an advocate for increasing the minimum wage. I can do that. I can ask my church to do that. I can ask my bishop to become involved. I can ask my family to become involved. I can begin letting my congregation and letting my community know the importance of those types of issues, of how those kinds of things could be of huge benefit to us all. And there's more things we can do beyond just those two. There's countries out there in the world that are experimenting with all kinds of different things when it comes to work hours. The church's voice needs to be heard on this. We believe taking a Sabbath is a commandment level issue. A commandment level issue. What if we kept our noses out of their bedroom and became more concerned with helping them get through the month, get through the week, get through the day? What if we became more involved in making sure that they had everything they needed, that they had everything they needed to give to their families? What a great way of spending our energy. May the Lord bless you. May the Lord keep you. May the Lord's face be made to shine upon you and be gracious to you. May the Lord's countenance be lifted up to you. May you always know the peace of being in the Lord's presence. I do pray that if you're able to take a Sabbath, that if you're able to take that day off, that you would embrace the moment of rest, that you would allow yourself to be recharged, that you would allow your creative energies to be restored, so that you can come back out into the world and be the person we all need you to be. Amen.